Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well and staying warm because it's freaking freezing here in Chicago, below zero. Your guy Jimmy here, getting ready to do a story about a very evil, sadistic man. This guy is so nasty, I don't even like talking about him. I get nightmares just thinking about him. We're going to talk about Angelo the Hook LaPietra. Angelo originally is from Cicero. Started out doing work for the Chicago outfit in the late 1930s, rose through the ranks, became a top enforcer, killer, hitman, and one of the biggest loan sharks in the Chicago mob. Not only did Angelo enjoy killing, but he also loved to torture some of his victims. He eventually moved out of Cicero, moved to Bridgeport, right there in the south side of Chicago. He became boss of the very dangerous crew, the 26th Street crew. Angelo LaPietra reported directly to the boss of bosses, Joey Aiuppa, a.k.a. Joey Doves, Joey O'Brien, or like the associates and maid members during the family secret trial referred to Aiuppa as the old man. This guy led the Chicago outfit with an iron fist. He led with fear, violence, intimidation. Government alleges he ordered over 150 hits. He was very well respected and feared by other members of organized crime, guys in the Philly faction, Cleveland, New York, Detroit. Some of the guys would even reach out to Joey Aiuppa for advice on problems and drama they were having within their families. Nick Calabrese testified that right before Joey Aiuppa went to the can, he had a meeting with Sam Carlisi, and he said, "I want them both knocked down," referring to the Splatro brothers. "I don't care how you do it, just do it." Shortly after that meeting, the plan to kill the Splatros was set into motion. Now here's just some of the members and associates of the 26th Street crew, led by Angelo LaPietra. Right there next to him, you got not a maid guy, but a close associate of the 26th Street crew. You got Joe Shorty LaMantia. Right next to him, you got Johnny Apes. He was actually boss of the Chicago outfit after LaPietra passed away. Johnny Apes was one of the men involved in the John Feccarata hit. He was in the car with Frank Calabrese, and his role was lookout. He's also ordered the murder of Chinatown associate Ronnie Jarrett, and he gave that contract to Tough Tony Calabrese. Right next to him, another main member of the Chicago outfit, you got Jimmy LaPietra, Angelo's right-hand man, probably the guy he trusted the most. Next to him, Frankie the Breeze Calabrese, one of the main defendants at the family secrets trial. He was the largest loan shark in the city of Chicago. He was also Angelo's number one enforcer. Then on the bottom there, you got Nick Calabrese, another main member of the Chicago outfit, and he acted as a soldier to Angelo LaPietra. He testified that he was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Anything Angelo wanted, Nick would deliver on, whether it was getting bread from the local bakery, or killing a guy. Next to him, you got John Feccarata, another loyal main member of the Chicago outfit. Feccarata was on thin ice most of his criminal career. He was constantly fucking up, constantly getting in trouble. Like the time they were going to kill the Splatros in Nevada, Feccarata was out there gambling and spending money. He also owed John No-Nos DeFranzo and a couple other Chicago outfit heavyweights hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was ducking them. Feccarata would even bring his girlfriend on some mob business. Frank Calabrese pleaded with Angelo several times he could kill Catori. But the straw that broke the camel's back was when they botched the burial of the Calabrese Brothers. Those bodies were supposed to never be found. That was it. Angelo LaPietra and the bosses of the outfit had enough of John Catori, so they had his best friend kill him. That was Nick Calabrese. As we all know, when Nick dumped the gun in the sewer, he accidentally dropped one of the gloves. The government held on to that glove for many years. They went ahead and swabbed all the made men and associates throughout the federal prison system, and one matched Nick Calabrese. At first, when they presented Nick with the DNA evidence, Nick had nothing to say to him. Then they came back to him a second day and they threatened him with the electrical chair, and that's when Nick decided to cooperate. Next to Catori, another Chinatown associate who was a top enforcer and a lieutenant in their gambling operation, Shorty Lamantia's stepson. You got Aldo. They played the tapes in court of him threatening a deadbeat gambler. Pretty scary, pretty dangerous guy. And then you got the legendary Frank Caruso, his brothers. These guys are royalty in the Chicago outfit. They led the 26th Street crew back then, and they probably lead it till this day. And then obviously you got the very dangerous, connected Rohde family. These are just some of the associates and members of the 26th Street crew. I'm not even including dangerous men like Ronnie Jarrett, James DeFordy, Neff, and several others. I would put this crew against any crew in the United States, including anybody in the Five Families, anybody in Philly, anybody in Cleveland, anybody in Detroit. Now here's William Action Jackson. This was one of Sam Giancana's top hitmen. Giancana, who was always very paranoid, suspected that he was an informant, so he gave the contract to James Jimmy Turk Torello, who my dad actually served in the Marine Corps with, Jack Cerrone, and Angelo LaPietra. When they got a hold of Action Jackson, they brutally tortured him, sodomized him, hung him up on a meat hook, but never once did he admit that he was a rat, making Turk Torello questioning if Sam Giancana got it right or not. But Angelo LaPietra and Jack Cerrone actually got off on torturing this poor man, and they were laughing out loud how bad he smelled because he shit his pants. But just to show you how violent Angelo the Hook could be. This was just one of many victims of Angelo LaPietra that he personally was involved in. Angelo LaPietra also had strong influence and very highly connected guys through the First Ward. Right there in Bridgeport, guys like John DiArco, Pat Marcy, Alderman Fred Rohde. These guys were made members. They controlled the entire Chicago Police Department, the entire Cook County Sheriff Department, some of your judges, some of your lawyers, most of your local businessmen. They handed out sweetheart contracts and gave out city jobs to all their family and friends like candy. And back then, if you were an associate or a made guy, a family member or a friend, and you fucked up and committed murder or manslaughter through the right judge, through the First Ward, through Angelo LaPietra and all his close friends, you could beat a murder rep for $10,000. Here's a great photo here of Angelo the Hook. They call him the Hook because once he got his hooks into you, once he loaned you money, he pretty much owned you. They also call him the Hook because sometimes he would hang some of his victims like Action Jackson on meat hooks. He enjoyed torturing his victims before he killed them. But in the family secret trial, usually Frank and Nick referred to him as the Bull. Then in the middle, you got Frank the Breeze, Calabrese. His MO was after tailing a guy 2-3 months, learning their patterns, they would jump him, surprise him, or lure him to a place, usually strangle him, and then Frank would slit his throat ear to ear, giving the Calabrese necktie to make sure the guy was dead. Then you got Nicky Calabrese, made member of the outfit. He was the government's top enforcer. He testified. He participated in 14 unsolved murders. He testified not only against his brother, but against Jimmy Marcello and others as well. His testimony pretty much crippled what was left of the Chicago outfit. And I'll never forget when Nick Calabrese gave great detail on testimony of the day he was made. He was made the same day as his brother Frank Calabrese, Jimmy LaPietra, Jimmy Marcello, Tony Zizzo, and a few others I'm forgetting, but it was straight out of a movie. He said that Joey Aiuppa and Al Tornabini held the ceremony. They all got called into a room one by one. They had a gun on the table. Aiuppa pricked his finger, and they held a burning prayer card in their hand, and they had to repeat an oath after Aiuppa. Nick Calabrese said that Angelo LaPietra was there to represent members of the Chinatown crew that were being inducted, guys like Jimmy LaPietra and the Calabrese Brothers, maybe one or two other guys I'm forgetting. Sam Carlisi was there to induct Jimmy Marcello, Tony Zizzo, maybe one or two other guys out of Melrose Park. And I think No Nose was there too to sponsor a couple of his guys out of the North Side Elmwood Park crew. But it was just very interesting to hear Nick's detail on the real making ceremony, how a Chicago outfit guy gets made. And then afterwards, they all went out for drinks to celebrate. And Angelo LaPietra told Nick and Frank Calabrese that they now have a little bit insurance, but not much. Meaning now that they're made men, they have a little bit of protection, but he could still take them out at any day, anytime he wanted. Here's the club, the Italian-American club in Bridgeport. Back then, during Angelo's heyday, they had over 5,000 paying members. Now most of the guys are dead or in jail. I actually went inside the club one time. They've got a full-blown kitchen, card tables, pool tables, black and white photos and framed. Kind of looks like a museum. But this club was built with the money that Frankie Schweiss and Angelo LaPietra extorted out of Chinatown. If you're ever in Bridgeport, going to a White Sox game, this is just a couple blocks away. There's also 3 to 5 other smaller private social clubs you could check out. And then on the other side of the club, they have a POW flag, a Chicago police flag, and a United States of America flag, where they have these cobbled little bricks, and in every brick is an etched veteran or an ex-wise guy or an associate, kind of like a memorial. Shorty LaMantia and his family's there. Some of the Carusos, some of the Roadies, other members and friends of the Bridgeport neighborhood. They have like a little memorial there outside the club. But definitely check out the club. But this is where Angelo LaPietra used to hang his hat 7 days a week. Now here's a photo of the bull. Nobody in the outfit liked this guy. Frank Calabrese said he's the only one that ever had the balls to stare him in the eye. Frank Calabrese also testified that he won most of the sit-downs that he had with the bull. And during one prison visit with Anthony Twan Doyle, when he's visiting Frank Calabrese in Milan, Michigan, they're talking in code. Even though they're being recorded, they're still talking in code. And Twan asks Frank, hey, whatever happened to Sammy Iannarino? And Frank said, oh, the bull shelved him. Then he said he really shelved him. And during one sit-down, the bull picked up a large spike, a sharp spike, and stabbed Iannarino right in the shoulder. He didn't kill him, but just showing how vicious and how nasty Angelo LaPietra was. He kind of reminds me kind of like a Mad Sam DeStefano, and also maybe similar to Ray DeMaio out of New York. A man that actually got off on torturing people and actually enjoyed killing people, showed no remorse at all. And I used to wonder, how come Angelo LaPietra isn't in the famous Last Supper photo with the rest of the Chicago heavyweights? And my guess is they probably didn't really want to sit down or get too close to a sadistic man like this. Now, one of several people that Angelo LaPietra had killed was this guy, Butch Petracelli. He was one of the 14 victims discussed at the Family Secrets trial. Frank Calabrese despised this man and pleaded with Angelo several times if he could kill him. One time when they were going to kill Tony Borsellino, Frank Calabrese pleaded with Angelo if they could spare Tony Borsellino's life, and Angelo LaPietra responded to Frank Calabrese, "Do you want to go in his place? Meaning, how about we kill you and we'll give Tony Bors a pass?" But unfortunately, Tony Borsellino was killed. Still not sure why. Everybody loved and respected him. I know Butch used to talk a lot of shit about Tony Borsellino because he was jealous of him. But the FBI, the government, got it wrong. When they first found Butch Petracelli's body, his whole face looked like it was burnt. So they thought maybe they torched him with a blowtorch. But Nick Calabrese explained in great detail exactly how Butch Petracelli was killed. The outfit bosses have had enough of his bullshit. He was holding back money from his partner, Harry Aleman, when Harry Aleman was in the can. He was fucking around with another made guy's wife. He was talking shit. He was going down the rush street with 20, 30 guys, drawing a lot of heat, drawing a lot of attention. So one day, Butchie got summoned to Angelo's club right there in Bridgeport. And according to Nick, he said, "I want you to go next door and take out the garbage." Nicky went next door. When Butch Petracelli walked in, he was jumped, he was strangled, and they killed him. Frank Calabrese took great pleasure killing Butchie because he despised him. Nick Calabrese testified that he fucked up when he threw the flare in the car. He forgot to crack open the window, and that's what caused the black burn marks on Butchie's face. But Butchie was eventually killed on the orders of Angelo LaPietra. Now here's another victim of the Angelo and the 26th Street crew, but he actually lived to tell about it. He was one of the witnesses at the family secrets trial, and he testified that one day a couple of guys came to his office, asked to see him unannounced. He thought they were salesmen, so he kind of shunned them away. The same guys came back a few days later. They demanded a couple $100,000, or they threatened him and his family. He wasn't quite sure what to do. And then Nick Calabrese testified to corroborate this, that he was told by Angelo LaPietra to put the squeeze on him. He cut off a puppy's head, put it on the hood of Catori's car. Then he took some dead mice, dead rats, made some nooses and hung them from the antenna of Catori's car. Catori came home from work one day and he saw a dead puppy's head on his car. Then a few days later, he saw some dead mice. He didn't know what to think. He was appalled. He thought maybe some young punks were playing some kind of a sick joke on him. Then fast forward, one day he was going to start his car, and Nick Calabrese also testified that he aimed the gun. He showed the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how he positioned the gun because he didn't want to kill Victor Catori, but when he shot out the window. So poor Victor Catori, when he went to start the car, at the same time, Nick Calabrese blew out his back window, scaring the bejesus out of Victor Catori. This got Catori's attention. He didn't trust the police. He was scared about the FBI. So he only went to one person that could help him. That was boss of the 26th Street crew, Angelo LaPietra. He went to the club. He explained to Angelo how a couple men came to his office, tried to extort money out of him. They cut a puppy's head and put it on the car. They tied dead mice to his antenna, and then they blew out his back window. He was scared to death. He was very upset. He testified that he was pleading and asking Angelo LaPietra for help. The hook just sat there calmly, didn't say one word. And at the end, when he was finished, he told them, "I'll get back to you." The fucking bull made this poor man wait weeks before he got back to him. Catori didn't know what was going to happen next. Finally, after waiting a little over a month, Angelo summoned him back to the club. He sat him down. He says, "Yes, these men are very serious. They're dangerous. They will hurt you. You must pay." Victor Catori asked how much. Angelo LaPietra held up two fingers, meaning it's going to cost you $2 million. Victor Catori gladly came up with the $2 million, paid Angelo off, thinking his problem was going to go away. What Victor Catori did not know then, and he found out later, was that Victor Catori was the man behind the extortion. When prosecutor Mitch Mars asked Nick Calabrese on the stand, how much did Angelo pay you for cutting off a puppy's head, blowing out his back window, and tying up dead mice and rats? Nick Calabrese calmly said, nothing. I didn't get paid one dime. I was given an order, and in this life you follow that order like the army. But just to show you what kind of man Angelo the Bull was. Some other interesting information that came out the family secrets trial when Frank Calabrese was talking to Junior in code. He said that Angelo LaPietra asked him and Ronnie Jarrett if they could make him a special gun, which they did in Ronnie Jarrett's mother-in-law's garage. That's the gun that was used to kill Sam Giancana. As we all know, when he came home from being on the lam in Mexico, he was cooking one of my favorite dishes, Italian peppers and sausage. He had a good friend come over, somebody he trusted. He let him in. When he turned his back, the guy shot him like 7, 8, 9 times and gave him a couple shots to the mouth. This is an unsolved murder of the Chicago outfit. I have a feeling Angelo LaPietra gave that gun to Tony Arcardo. But what do you guys think? Who do you think killed Sam Giancana? Now here's the fortress. When Anthony LaPietra moved out of his small bungalow house in Cicero, he moved into this compound in Bridgeport. Normally, the old bosses kept a very low profile because they're so cheap and frugal. But this house really stands out in Bridgeport compared to some of the smaller houses in the neighborhood. Nick Calabrese testified he would go to this house once a week, and he would stuff a barbecue mitt with anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 in cash. The hook would look out his kitchen window. If he saw the mitt was face up, he knew there was no money in it. But if he saw the mitt was face down, he could walk outside, grab the mitt, and it would be stuffed with thousands of dollars. So I thought that was kind of funny. Also, after the family secrets trial, another trial I went to was Scalise, Arthur the Genius, and Bobby Bellavia, all associates of the Chicago outfit. They were planning on robbing armored cars, a few banks, and they had Angelo LaPietra's fortress on their hit list. They actually showed the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where the crew drilled holes in the mortar of some of the glass blocks, cinder blocks on the other side of the house. They were kind of testing where they were going to break in. Shortly after the family secrets trial, based on another tip from Junior, they raided one of Frank Calabrese's houses. They found a couple guns, several precious gems and jewelry, and found over $750,000 cash. They even found $500 bills that were never heard of back then. So Scalise thought, well, if there's that kind of money left over in Calabrese's house, I wonder what's inside the LaPietra house. So the Scalise crew, they got busted outside the house, casing it with all kinds of burglary tools and being under surveillance. They thought there'd be a couple $100,000 in this house and possibly that marble diamond. As we all know, Scalise, the genius, pulled off the marble diamond heist in London. They got pinched. They never ratted. They never rolled on anybody. But that diamond was mailed back to Chicago to one of the outfit's boss's houses. So they thought that diamond, there's a good chance it could be at the LaPietra compound. The diamond was never found, but if you ever are in Bridgeport and you go to a White Sox game, check out Armour Park. You could check out the Italian American Club. There's 3 other smaller private clubs you could check out, and you could walk past Angelo LaPietra's house. Here's Frank Calabrese, a main defendant at the family secrets trial. He testified that he won most of the sit-downs that he had with the bull, that he was the only one that could ever look the bull in the eye, and that it was Angelo that gave him his start. Angelo gave him $250,000 in juice money to put on the street, and Frank Calabrese turned that $250K into a couple million. Frankie Calabrese was the largest loan shark in Chicago. Frank admitted that, but he said he never used violence to collect. He would like to give the guy, especially a working man, a chance to pay off his loan, which was total bullshit. He said the worst he would do is take over the guy's business or property, which he did plenty of. And then the government star witness, you got this coward here, made member Chicago outfit, Nicholas Calabrese. He testified to participating in 14 unsolved murders. A couple of them were his friends, Michael Spilotro and John Feccarata, but he was a loyal soldier to Angelo LaPietra. He was on call 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. He compared it to being in the Army. But what's upsetting to me is he participated in 14 murders. Judge Zagel only gave him 6 years, and with time served, he does 4 years. So 4 years for 14 murders. That's a slap to the victim's family and the victim family's faces. It's like Sammy Gravano. He participates in 19 murders and only gets a few years in prison. Or Lenny Patrick kills a dozen people, participates in 100 armed robberies, bank robberies, and only gets 4 years in prison. If I'm a jury, even though these guys have a lot of details, the government could corroborate most of it. I find somebody with that kind of past hard to believe. I would have found him not guilty. Another made member of the Chicago outfit, he was actually made the same day Nick Calabrese was made. According to Nick Calabrese, Jimmy LaPietra was one of the men that little Jimmy Marcello picked up in a fancy minivan at a Venture parking lot. He picked up Nick Calabrese, Jimmy LaPietra, and John Feccarata and drove them to the house in Bensonville. Nick Calabrese went on to say that Jimmy LaPietra was one of the men that took part in the brutal beating, stomping death of the Spilotros. He was Angelo LaPietra's brother and his most trusted member. Now, I would compare Angelo LaPietra, the bull, the hook, to somebody like a Mad Sam DeStefano or a Roy DeMeo, somebody who actually enjoyed torturing and got off on killing people. And I always wondered, how come he wasn't at the last photo? I think maybe a lot of the outfit bosses try to keep their distance from this man, but he was a brutal enforcer and loan shark for the Chicago outfit. But a guy like this is not going to roll. He'll blow trial, do his time, and never rat a roll. Unlike New York, Philly, and other crime families where there's so many snitches and informants, Chicago really hasn't had that many. Aside from that low-life B.J. Jehoda, Bob Cooley, Lenny Patrick, and Nick Calabrese, most of these guys were loyal. Shorty LaMattia, we talked about him. Not a made guy. I'm not sure why Angelo never made him. I'm sure there's a reason, but he was definitely a loyal member of the 26th Street crew. And just to show you the power and the connections Angelo LaPietra had in the 26th Street crew, years ago, his son, Rocky, accidentally killed his girlfriend and went to a bench trial. And through Angelo LaPietra and Alderman Rhodey and Pat Marcy, they bribed the judge. The judge found Rocky not guilty of murder. But that's pretty power to be able to beat a murder rap like that. But that just shows you the influence that even an associate like Shorty had with Angelo LaPietra. Now, fast forward, let's see, 1985, 1986, there was a legendary trial called the Strawman Case, 8 or 9 defendants. You had Joey Lombardo, Angelo LaPietra, Jack Sarno, Joey Aiuppa, a couple guys from Kansas City, and a few others. They were all indicted for skimming a couple $1 million from some of the mobbed-up hotel casinos. Angelo LaPietra was convicted. He did 16 years and ended up going to maximum U.S. penitentiary Leavenworth. And even though LaPietra was a tough guy and very feared and a very top guy on the streets, he didn't hold up too well in prison. Somehow he did survive, though, without cooperating. He made it out. Fast forward, I think in 1999, he died in his 70s. Hopefully he made peace with the big guy upstairs. Otherwise, this guy's going straight to hell. But she made a nice, beautiful monument for an evil man like Angelo LaPietra. You'd think he was a saint. He was buried at Queen of Heaven. This is a mob cemetery in the western suburbs. All the mob guys, associates are here. Carlisi, Rocky and Felice, Marino, Al Capone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. If you were to do a little mob tour and you go to the museum there in the western suburbs, the cemetery, all your made guys and associates are here. That's my story on Angelo the Bull LaPietra, one of the most dangerous, violent made members, and a very evil, sadistic man. If you like my Chicago mob trial stories, please hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends. I want to share with you a quick clip of the Operation Strawman. That was the trial that sent Angelo LaPietra to prison for 16 years. I'll share this with you.
Government has made a major move against organized crime. A federal grand jury has charged 50 men with skimming profits from casinos in Las Vegas and distributing the money to organized crime interests. It's been described as one of the most far-reaching indictments ever handed down by a grand jury, and the men named are described by federal agents as the who's who of organized crime in the Midwest. We begin with Robin Groth, who is in Las Vegas.
Anthony Spilatro, arrested early this morning, is alleged to be the link between Las Vegas and organized crime in Chicago.
There's the answer.
In Kansas City, three more arrested, including reputed organized crime leaders Carl the Cork Savella and Carl Tuffy DeLuna. In Chicago, 6 more charged, including 3 who are alleged to be the organized crime hierarchy in that city: Joey Aiuppa, Jackie Cerrone, and Joey the Clown Lombardo. They are charged with the hidden control and management of 4 Las Vegas casinos and the distribution of almost $2 million illegally skimmed from casino profits. Skimming is the siphoning of unreported money, in this case to alleged organized crime families in the Midwest.
So we have a significant amount of money that has gone into the hands of organized crime that has not reached the tax coffers of either state or federal authorities.
The skimming operation occurred between 1974 and 1979 at the Marina, the Hacienda, the Fremont, and the Stardust casinos, all operated by the now-defunct Argent Corporation, with funding from the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund under the direction of alleged organized crime leaders. If convicted on all counts, those indicted today could receive up to $80,000 in fines and 40 years in prison. Robin Groth, ABC News, Las Vegas.
This is Kenneth Walker in Washington. Government high-level organized crime activities.
That's why this indictment today, with the people involved, is really a major step forward. People who have walked the streets almost with an arrogant attitude of we're above it, you can't get us, have now been what you might call brought to the heels of justice.
Those indicted form a virtual who's who of alleged organized crime figures in the Midwest. Joseph Aiuppa, said to be a top crime boss in Chicago. Frank Balistrieri, the alleged boss of the Milwaukee mob. And Carl Angelo DeLuna, one of the most feared organized crime operatives in the Kansas City area. Casinos in Las Vegas, nominally owned by Alan Glick and the Argent Corporation, brought these men together. And, according to the indictment, the Teamster Union's billion-dollar Central States Pension Fund provided the money. This is the first time the pension fund has been linked to the alleged scam in Las Vegas. According to sources, the mobsters used $90 million in pension fund money to buy a hidden interest in the casinos.
Yeah, that pension fund, that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars back then, and that was the main motive in the Danny Seaford killing. That's my story for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. In the near future, I'm going to do a story about some of the couriers. How did the money come back home? When they skimmed some of the hotels and casinos in Vegas. The outfit used many made guys and associates, family and friends to bring the money back home in cash, sometimes duffel bags, planes, trains, automobiles. They were very creative. Some family and friends and associates of made men would fly out to Vegas, get the full VIP red carpet treatment, get everything comped, shows, broads, food, hotel, airfare. Their only job was to bring back thousands of dollars cash to the bosses. So we're going to do a story about that, but I got to do a little bit more research. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the weekend. Have a good week. Stay warm. My next story is going to be about a very dangerous associate of the Chicago outfit and a loyal member of the 26th Street crew. We're going to talk about Ronnie Jarrett. Please, again, if you like my show, subscribe, hit the like button, share with your friends. And for the few trolls out there, a couple YouTube smartasses, get a life, bro. Put out the cigarette, go to the ATM, and take the wife out. Treat it a Lone Star or Outback, or maybe Thank God It's Fridays, Bennigan's, whatever cheesy little restaurant you guys like to go. Treat her. Take the wife out, guy. Get a life. Have a good week. Ciao.